So we're not here to lecture or sell quick fixes. Menopause and perimenopause have been turned into a maze of jargon, pills and supplements. Confusion sells, but it doesn't transform. So you don't need more buzzwords, you need clarity, you need a system that works in real life, muscle, mindset, habits and structure, and we'll be repeating that a lot today. So we're going to start with a myth busting session. I'd love you to pair up with someone who you don't know, introduce yourself, and then we'll be going through each of the myths that we have up on the screen, and I want you to talk with your partner whether you think that is how much truth is to it, and then see what your understanding of that is. So firstly, jump up out of your seats, find someone who you don't know, introduce yourself, or if you know them, hang out with them again. Yep, perfect. That's absolutely fine. All right. So once you've introduced yourself, the first one is eat less and move more is the answer.
We covered every topic in the history.
What do you think about that?
We talked about everything. You go, Nicole. We just spoke about, probably before starting, our headspace was eat less.
Yep.
Because we wanted to be smaller, but now that we're moving more, we have to eat more but eat the right things, the proteins, because it's not about lessening your intake, it's about balancing.
Nice.
Eat less and move more. Yes, there is some truth to that.
Yeah.
It's eating less of like the sugars, things that are going to be inflammatory and really wrong for our body. And moving more, yes, but the right kind of movement, whether that's like
So that is subjective to the way we look at it. There's a lot of noise about this in the health and fitness industry. So people say things like you cannot put on weight unless you're on a calorie deficit. Calorie deficit just means that, for example, if you put full tank, and full tank is you using more than you driving more than the fuel that is in. Does that make sense? And sometimes you drive less than you consume. That's the simple terms of looking at it. But here's the problem. Yes, that's true, but the health and fitness industry tell people to eat less. What happens is that when I tell you to eat less, dinner might be chicken curry and rice. Say you're having dinner at 5 p.m. and you skip the rice because you don't want to have the carbs. So you want to eat less. That makes sense. We're together in that, right? Then what happens is that you're still starving because you did not eat enough food. So in between dinner at 5 and 10, you end up having a packet of chips, a box of chocolate, a Tim Tam. So what happens is that people come to us and people say that, you see it all the time online. I'm eating less, but I'm eating really well, but I'm not losing weight. But then you only see what you did. You don't see the snacks, the in-between. So when we tell people to eat less, what happens is that it ends up creating more problems because they end up eating less but consuming more. Instead of consuming more and eating less. I'd rather you eat the rice, which is not processed food, and end up not eating everything that comes in between. So instead of eating less and consuming more, we should be eating more and consuming less of the, especially when we want to look at it as less of the processed stuff. Because the only reason we're always looking for these other things is because, and when that happens, what happens is that we get into the binge emotional cycle. So what is binge eating? Binge eating is that we restrict food. Then when you restrict food, the pendulum gotta swing the other way. The harder you restrict, the harder you're gonna binge. Then you raid the cupboard. Then after raiding the cupboard, you feel like shit for breaking your diet. Then you throw it all the window. Now it turns from binge eating to emotional eating. It just turns into self-sabotage. So this is why we don't tell our members to eat less. We don't even go there, because the moment you do that, it just creates confusion. So subjective to what we are talking about or who you ask, you can't really say that it's eat less or eat more or whatever. There needs to be some context. Does that make sense?
All right. So our next myth: 10,000 steps or endless cardio equals results.
All right, we talked about 10,000 steps or cardio. So 10,000 steps, we both agreed is better than endless cardio.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the whole jumping around is hard on the joints.
Yeah.
It just seems like a waste of time. It's not really getting results. Whereas going for a walk has got lots of benefits. You've got your 10,000 steps that you're getting in. You're actually, it's good. Maybe what we talk about, good for your mind as well, like mindset. But it's a lot easier on your body and you're moving. And maybe with a bit of an incline, like going up the steps, yeah, it helps with the heart rate, strengthens bones, body mass. Everything.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One thing, that's an amazing answer. Great work. One thing I'll also add to that, to bust that myth even further, is we've had in the past a lot of people who might be like nurses, who people who are on their feet a lot, okay, and they're in quite stressful jobs, emotional stressful jobs, and they say, "Oh, I've ticked off 20,000 steps today. I do 20,000 steps every day," but they're not getting results. So this thinking that I've done my 10,000 steps or 20,000 steps doesn't necessarily lead to a result in the full picture.
Clearly, there's more gyms than there was before. There's more information on YouTube, on Google, but people are still struggling and getting more miserable, which means there's a problem in the way we do things. And when we look at, for example, the typical example, just do 10,000 steps and be on a calorie deficit. I'll tell you what a problem is that. You tell someone to do 10,000 steps. Maybe someone hasn't even walked consistently since playing netball in high school. What's going to happen to their feet? They're gonna have issues. Then they do 10,000 steps today, then tomorrow they're out. So it encourages perfectionism, all or nothing approach. Another issue with that is that, think about it, you finished work, you've gone back home, and you're thinking, I'm gonna go for my walk. What's easy? When I tell you, like we tell our members, 3 kilometers or 30 minutes, whatever comes first, because that's different for everyone. Some people would only walk 1 kilometer for 30 minutes. It's so much easier. You want to be consistent. We want it to be so simple to do, it feels stupid not to do it. Does that make sense? You're like, oh, why would I miss just 1 kilometer to take it off? Why would I miss that walk? But think about it, coming home, 10,000 steps, that would be like 7 or 8 kilometers or whatever. You're dealing with kids, aging parents, you come back from work tired, you're not gonna do it. It's not sustainable. And for perspective, Mel and I have walked every day for the whole year. We've not missed a single day. And I can't tell, maybe twice or 3 times I've done 10,000 steps. I never ever get to 10,000 steps. But then I'm consistent. We are consistent. So at the end of the day, consistency trumps intensity instead of wasting time, because that's what everyone do. When you look at the health and fitness industry, it's just copy paste. Everyone is on the same calories, 1,200. Everyone is doing 10,000 steps. Everyone is doing. Everyone is just copy pasting what everyone is doing. But what we did when we are starting Imani, pretty much we look at what the best in the world were doing, not what they were doing well, but what they were not doing right. And we optimize on that, because there's so many people who can do fancy exercises than us. You know what I mean? There's so many people who can do cool tricks. There's so many people who can create nice recipe books and whatever, and meal plans. We didn't want to be part of that noise. So when we're thinking 10,000 steps, and to touch on another point, like for example, part of our system is that there's times when you need to walk. It's part of the system. And we've had people, for example, in the past say that, oh, but I do 10,000 steps every day. I don't need to walk. When we're thinking about walking, we're not just walking as movement. Walking is, we get our members to walk because when you walk, you prioritize yourself. At that point, you're not an employee, a business person, a wife, a husband, a mom, or whatever. It's your time to switch off. So it's not just about burning calories. It's about, because you could be a nurse, you could be doing 20,000 ICU nurse, 20,000 steps a day, but then you are under stress. Like cortisol is up, you're under the pump, like, you know what I mean? Yes, so it's very, very different. So we don't just walk to burn calories. We walk to prioritize ourselves, because at the end of the day, the only reason why we get stuck or why any adult gets stuck is because we don't know how to prioritize ourselves. Think about it. We tell our kids to put sunscreen on, to hydrate, too much screen time, go to bed early, but nobody tells us, and we don't know how to do the same thing. We can go all day without eating. We can go all week without, you know what I mean? So if we can have a system that gets you to prioritize yourself every day, just like if you give a 3-year-old a knife to chop a tree and they start chopping it daily, whether for a whole year, it doesn't matter how big that tree is, eventually it will fall down.
Next one. What is the one thing that matters the most? And I haven't finished that sentence off for you up there, so I'm sorry. Fitness, nutrition, or sleep?
Another question. I guess you guys have tried different things in the health and fitness industry. We'll go into that later. But then the whole time, whether you've trained with a trainer or done a diet or whatever, have you ever had anybody mentioning sleep first? Yep. Why aren't we mentioning sleep when sleep is the most important thing? Because think about it. I could eat like shit. I could skip training, but I can't try going a night without sleep and see how you feel. Yeah. You cannot function, isn't it? Yeah. Why aren't we looking at the big blocks? Yep. See how the health and fitness industry is screwed. Like, it just does things the opposite way. So when thinking of sleep is the most important, because without it, your body can't recover or regulate hunger or stress. But none of them work in isolation. For everyday women in midlife, the real challenge is just knowing the pieces. It's having a system that ties them together consistently, even on your hardest day. So at the end of the day, sleep, like, we cannot survive without sleep. So sleep is always the most important thing. Yeah. That's why, for example, the way we coach, if someone really has a shit sleep, I'd rather tell them skip the session, go for a walk, but yeah, make up for that sleep.
All right, 2 more. Menopause means you need HRT, specialized training, or medications.
I started here because I was a hot mess. So I think specialized training has helped 98%. I just started HRT 2 months ago, and I think that's given me 100%.
Yeah, so that's good. So if you don't know what HRT is hormonal replacement therapy, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, whether your approach is good, and we're gonna go deep into this, whether your approach is HRT or naturopath or whatever, but at the end of the day, we need to realize that pretty much what's happening in menopause, don't ever fall for the lie that there's special medication, there's this special thing that we need to do. The thing that is happening is that your system has updated and your old system doesn't work anymore. When we are young, when you're in your 20s, you can go on an all weekend bender, get away with eating McDonald's. Then as you age, especially perimenopause, where hormones start to decline, so it's the opposite of puberty, hormones start to decline, it means everything gets harder. So you're losing muscle, so you have to work harder, which means your baseline has risen. You can't get away with what you used to get away with here anymore. So we need to change that. And the way we look at HRT is things like HRT is not a problem, but at the end of the day, HRT is not going to build muscle for you. It's not going to work on your sleep. It's not going to change your lifestyle. Does that make sense? Like, at the end of the day, you have to come back to lifestyle and it has to change. There's nothing wrong with it. And there's no wrong or right. But for example, like Kylie is using it, but then what is she doing? She's working on her lifestyle. She's lifting weights. She's doing all the right things. But people use it in a way, which I'll use an analogy of like taking painkillers. I can go and take a painkiller, Panadol, every day, instead of addressing, why am I getting headaches? Am I getting headaches because I'm not eating enough, I'm stressed, I'm not hydrated, I'm not sleeping enough? We need to address the root cause. Does that make sense? Yeah. So there's no right or wrong.
Self-sabotage means I'm weak or lack discipline.
Okay, so what's our understanding of
Self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage, sorry.
Thinking that you're cheating or not achieving your high expectations.
Guilt? Yep, yep. Or then what does that do? So that's a feeling, but what does that make us do? So in we like to simplify things. So the way we coach people, a lot of people talk about like too much jargons and science thing, and at the end of the day, the more complex your communication is, the bigger the gap on of how much people learn. So we try to simplify it, and the reason, the simple Aussie way that I would put self-sabotage is just like fucking it up. like 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 screwing it all up. Like I've eaten a Tim Tam, so I've ruined it. So it can come in many different ways. Does that make sense? But it's a way of just like messing up your progress. It can come in so many different ways. Does that make sense? Okay. So what's our understanding of does self-worth means that we are weak or we lack discipline? Self-sabotage, sorry.
Just means that we have old habits that need to be reversed.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not discipline, disciplining, learning discipline.
Okay, let's use an example. So how do you self-sabotage yourself?
Oh,
Give me an example.
I'm a massive self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Huge binge
Yeah.
eating is my big one.
Binge eating. Why do you binge it?
Lots of childhood trauma.
Yeah. No, so yes, we all have traumas attached to that, but I want you to take me to that moment, whether it's 9 at night or 8 or 10. I want you to tell me the feeling. You're stressed, you're annoyed, what's the emotion behind the binge eating?
It's all usually a sense of, internal shame, internal failure, internal, you're going to fuck up anyway, so just do it.
What you've said right now, does it have anything to do with discipline? Yeah. So it's not discipline, right? So it's not discipline. Self-worth has nothing to do with discipline. Relying on willpower and motivation is like relying on a party friend to pick you up from the airport. Instead of willpower, we need to change our habits and mindset and lifestyle and environment and system to a point where you don't need willpower. Think about it. The most disciplined people are the people who never need to use willpower at all. They're not disciplined because they have more willpower. They're disciplined because they don't go out to the pub all the time. They don't go on all weekend banners. You know what I mean? So would the willpower work without the system? Never. Yep. Think about it. Everything we do, from brushing your teeth to what you do before you leave your house, to when Nicole parks outside and gets her shoes and put her shoes on, that's a system. You see, she has her own system. We all have system. Your system is either working for you or not. Think about it. If the government said that, okay, just work, then donate, like it's a coin donation for your taxes, would anybody pay tax? They've created a system where paying taxes. So instead of relying on people's goodwill. Does that make sense? So that's the same way we need to create everything in our life. We systemize everything to a point where doing the right thing is the only option. It makes it so easy. Does that make sense? Instead of relying on willpower. That's why I don't like the word motivation. Like motivation. I see people do it in their marketing or training groups, do cardio, hold hands, sing kumbaya for motivation. Like transformation, yes, community is important, but transformation is like an inner job. You have to, no one will do it with you. Like even my own transformation, Mel can't do it. Like we do our transformation separately, then we support each other separately. But nobody can do for you your transformation. Like it's a solo job.
We'll just touch on why you should even listen to us. We're not gurus. We're not, what's that thing that people do on social media? Influencers. But why the hell should you listen to us? We're holistic transformation specialists helping everyday people, especially women 40 plus, who want more than a good body transform their life, not just their body, beyond fitness and nutrition. We do this from our studio here, and we can also help people worldwide as well. We do it online as well. So we're not academics hiding in theory, disconnected from the reality of everyday people. And we're not influencers chasing clicks or the next shiny trend. We're coaches who live this work in our own lives. So we've been doing this on ourselves. We've been doing it with the clients together over 20 years. So it's something that we're really, really passionate about, and we live it 24/7 basically. Over the years, we've worked with thousands of clients, most staying with us 3 years or more. And that matters because it means we've seen what really happens after the 6-week challenge glow fades, after 6 months, after 12 months, and after 4 years. So most programs look great on paper, but in real life, they collapse. We've seen the patterns, the pitfalls, the breakthroughs. We know why people fail and what it takes to create results that not only last, but keep compounding year after year. So that's why we built Imani. Not another quick fix, but a complete system for the real world, for messy days, for hard seasons, for when motivation runs out, because that's when true coaching matters most. Here's a bigger picture. Ronnie said this a little bit earlier, but there are more gyms, more diets, more information than ever, yet people are still getting heavier, more exhausted, more frustrated. So clearly something that this industry is doing isn't working, because it keeps solving the what, the food, calories, workout, steps, while ignoring the why. Why do people self-sabotage? Why do habits collapse when life gets stressful? And why do they keep starting over? If we don't solve the why, the what will never stick. That's where Imani comes in. So Imani means faith in Swahili, and faith is the antidote to fear. And fear is a real weight most people carry. Not just the weight on our body, but the fear of failing again. The fear of being seen, the fear of starting over and ending up in the same place, the fear that maybe we are the problem. The fear shows up as emotional eating or all or nothing thinking, the I'll start Monday cycle, self-sabotage. And no diet, no supplement, or no workout can fix that. So we built something different. Instead of the surface level fixes, we go deep. Instead of relying on willpower, we systemize the process. So we created an M2 system. It's a 12-month framework that makes results inevitable. Simple, repeatable daily actions, no overwhelm, no guesswork, just structure that holds strong even on your hardest days. Because here's the truth, most trainers fail their clients, even the good ones, even the experienced. You can know the science, you can design the perfect program, you can quote the research, and we know there are a lot of people out there that can do that. But if people can't follow it when life gets messy, it doesn't matter. Knowledge without implementation is useless. So we're not the ones that will be able to quote all the facts and the figures and the science, and like Ronnie said before, we're not the ones that lift the heaviest and do all these amazing things. Our passion and our service is in habits, mindset, and real transformation. That's where we really shine. The 3 core reasons why programs fail.
Okay, anybody has an idea why programs fail? Can you give me an idea? So regardless of how many people we've worked with, we've done this so many times. We've had many consults over the years with different people from all walks of life. It always comes back to 3 things. We can condense them into 3 things, and calorie deficit is not one of them. So, anybody has an idea? Accountability. Getting close, that's still under, it's there, but it's under one of those things.
They're cookie cutters, they're just like for everyone, they're not tailored.
Yep, that's still under that too. Yep. Anybody else has an idea? So I'm going to take you guys through this. After this part, this section alone, you shouldn't be able to fall for any. So the only 3 reasons why anything fails is that superficial solutions, so people are working too hard solving the wrong problems. It doesn't matter how hard you work. If you're solving the wrong problem, game over. Number 2, quick fixes. You cannot undo 10 years of lack of self-worth, people pleasing, trauma, and all that in 6 weeks. It's impossible. Even Olympians have to train for years and years before they get the 6 weeks opportunity or 12 weeks to prepare for Olympics. Does that make sense? Then number 3, lack of systems. So we're gonna dive deep into them one by one. So when we're looking at quick fixes, right? So the problem is that 6 or 12 weeks quick fixes cannot undo decades of habits, fears in 42 days. It's like building a house in a quicksand, looks solid for a moment, but can't hold. What happens when we do quick fixes? We too much, too quick, we burn out, life gets in the way, plans collapse, all or nothing. One miss feels like a failure. Perfectionism. If it's not perfect, it's pointless. So we get trapped in that hook. But then another problem with that is that, so my issue with quick fixes, one, transformation is about, if you ask anybody who's in business, like Ryan or Kylie has been in business 30 years, they'll tell you, you find someone who wants to start a business, want to be a cool, an amazing hairdresser, and want to achieve what these folks have achieved in 30 years in 6 weeks or 1 year. It's impossible. It's like, it does not make sense. Does that make sense? Yeah. So what happens when we try to achieve that? The analogy that I normally use is that, imagine right now we're driving from Lilydale to Geelong, and maybe let's say it takes 1 hour, but you left 2 hours before me, or you left at 5, and I'm leaving when I only have 30 minutes before I get there. Maybe I'm supposed to be there at 11:30. I can get there in time, but I'll get a ticket. I might hit a kangaroo. I might get an accident. There's too many things can go wrong. The moment, like, even when we look, for example, right now, I can get 2 Nicoles, and we can do the same program, the same coaching. And if one Nicole is signed up for 12 weeks, one Nicole is signed up for 12 months, the one that is signed up for 12 months will get better results. Why? Because when we have more time, we don't self-sabotage. When you only have 6 weeks, what's going to happen? Oh, I'm sick, but I'm just going to push myself and do a session. Then your nervous system crashes, or you do too much too quick and you end up with an injury. And as we know, consistency trumps intensity. It's not the person who trains the hardest. It's a marathon. Does that make sense? Another issue that I have with another reason why quick fixes don't work is, so we're still on number 2, quick fixes don't work. I want you guys to see it from so many angles. So why would I trust a coach or a trainer who can't delay gratification in their own business? They can't wait to sign up people for 12 months. They're signing up people they can't delay gratification business-wise, but they're going to teach you to delay gratification transformation-wise. Does that make sense? It does not make sense. Because not delaying gratification, I can't do that. That's like a partner telling you that, oh, you're spending too much on your time on your phone or iPad, or telling your kids that, but you're doing the same thing. You cannot. Success leaves clue. Does that make sense? Yeah. So then, or an analogy that we like to use, it's like hiring a financial advisor who lives on afterpay, or a marriage counselor who is on their 5th divorce. Like, it does not make sense at all. You know what I mean? Okay. The other reason why quick fixes don't work is because, like I said, somebody started business 30 years ago. They're on level 10 of business. I'm starting business today. I pick level 10 stuff. I want to do level 10 stuff. And because level 10 stuff is too hard and too overwhelming, I end up crashing. Then what happens? I go and start climbing another mountain. So I never finish a mountain. I never climb to the top. I'm always getting halfway, then starting off again. Getting halfway and starting off again. And wondering why I'm struggling. So I get stuck on a self-sabotage loop. So what happens is that we have to finish the transformation loop, which is want something, we do something, we get the results from something, The result teaches us what we want next. But if you never complete the loop, we never become the person who can sustain change. The trap is that we chase level 10 rewards when we are still in level 2. It's like walking into university without ever going to primary school. You might sit in the lecture hall, but without the basics, you'll fail and think you're not smart enough when really you just weren't set up to succeed. Does that make sense? So the number one main reason why diets and everything else fail is that it's a quick fix. And anything that is 6 weeks, 12 weeks, anything that tells you eat this, don't eat this, anything that tells you that plant is better than meat or meat is better than meat, nothing is better. You gotta find what works for you. Does that make sense? Anything that drives you towards this is what you need to do, it's a lie. Because, for example, you find that someone might be struggling with their weight so much or struggling with their health, then all of a sudden they go to like a carnivore diet. This is an example. And they go to carnivore diet, or somebody might go to plant diet. And the plant diet works. It's not working because, or the carnivore diet works for them. It's not working because it's carnivore diet or it's plant diet. It's working because they've cut out the processed shit. Because when you are carnivore, it means you've limited your window of eating crap because you're not eating anything else that is not that. So which means you're gonna limit the processed stuff. So it's working not because it's carnivore, but it's working because they've cut out the processed stuff. Does that make sense? So we can't keep on falling for these diet tricks. Number 2, I love this. Superficial solution. Look at everyone in the health and fitness industry. Right now, if you go to Instagram, everyone is solving the wrong problem. What do they say? They say the problem is food, 10,000 steps, 10,000, let's do 10,000 steps. But the problem, I want you guys to really remember this. This is like really, really important. The problem is never the what. The problem is always the why. I want you guys to repeat that after me. The problem is never the what. The problem is always the why. Louder, please. The problem is never the what. The problem is always the why. Like if someone comes in and someone says that I really, really struggle with food or I struggle with drinking, here is what standard trainers, coaches, life coaches do. They tell you that, okay, I want you to chuck the food that is in their cupboard in the bin, chuck the alcohol in the bin, no more going in the pub, no more going to the pub, no more doing all these things. But they don't address the reason behind it. So the way we would address it, if you came to me and, for example, you told me that I struggle with food, then first I need to understand how you struggle with food. We need to figure out whether it's binge eating or emotional eating. They're always interconnected. Then you might say that when I get home, I'll ask, why do you struggle with food? I get home and I'm really stressed. So I just need to eat something because I'm really stressed. So the moment stress and food is mentioned, we know that's emotional eating. Okay, I'm really stressed. So instead of telling you to chuck the food or whatever, I'll ask you, why are you stressed? Oh, I work too much. Why do you work too much? I struggle to say no to my clients or my boss. Why do you struggle to say no to your clients or your boss? I'm a people pleaser. Why are you a people pleaser? I want people to like me. Why do you want people to like you? I'm scared of rejection. Why are you scared of rejection even if you're doing what's right for you? Prioritizing yourself. Because my self-worth relies on people liking me. My self-worth relies on people liking me. So it's a self-worth issue. It's not a food problem. Does that make sense? We can change the food, hide the food, get your husband to go shopping instead of you going shopping. But what happens if I invite you to my place for a barbecue? The issue is still there. So everyone is too busy solving superficial. And here's the problem. When we try to cut out the food and use willpower and we don't have a system and nobody teaches us about the emotional stuff behind that, what happens? Every time we fail, we lose a part of us. We feel like a failure. Every diet we do, we feel like the problem is us. you lose more self-worth. You lose more self-worth. Then more self-worth leads to more emotional eating and binging. It turns out. See how it creates more problem? So the problem is never the what, the problem is always the why. That's an easy way, because most of the time what we do with our members, when we coach people, it's like we're driving going to the city, and your car doesn't have side mirrors, and I'm on the driver's seat doing head checks for you. Because most of the time, if you just make someone self-aware, they'll always. But we cannot change what we are not aware of. Like a lot of the time, people think that my sleep is really good. Then you tell them, okay, I want you to measure your sleep. Show me what it looks like. It's different. Does that make sense? So we have to think beyond the superficials. Number 3, the main reason everything fails is because of lack of system. We don't need more information. We need a system that helps us implement the basics consistently, even on our worst days, even on the hard day. Right now, if I want to be a hairdresser, or I want to go into finance like Shilpa and Ryan, there's a system. There's a system that you use to get you there. If I want to be an ICU nurse, there's a system. You can't go to school and start from grade 7, then go back to grade 3, then grade back to grade 4. There's a system. If we don't have a system, what ends up happening is that too much, too quick, we burn out, we end up with injuries, all or nothing approach, or we guesswork, we end up putting things together. So I look at what I did at Weight Watchers, what a CrossFit trainer is doing, what a 21-year-old Instagram influencer is doing, what people who've not experienced it, you know what I mean? And then I try to piece all these pieces together. And we try to piece up these pieces together. These pieces are not compatible to us. We end up creating more problems. We dig ourselves deeper and deeper into the hole. So when we look at the superficial, when I go back just a little bit on the superficial, one thing I forgot to mention there that I want you guys to also remember: we don't have health, weight, mental health, whatever, business problem, any problem. We don't have that problem. What we have are personal problems that reflect throughout our life. What are personal problems? Habits, mindset, beliefs, identity, fears. Everything normally goes back to that. And if we can address that, there's nothing that we can solve. But here's the catch. We can do a 12-month program. We can get to a part where we're not addressing superficial problems, but if we don't have an implementation system that takes complex ideas into easy, digestible steps that even a 7-year-old can do. Like what we do, what we sell to our clients is literally not like the transformation we sell to our clients, our brand, is not the information or any of those stuff. That's why we give a lot of blogs, everything for free. The system is what holds it together. And like many people, it took us a long time to figure it out. I'll tell you what used to happen without a system. So without a system, say for example, we have Michelle who is in New York. I'd be calling, did you go for your walk today? No, I didn't go for my walk, but I'll go tomorrow. Then tomorrow I call, did you go for your walk? I missed my walk, but I'll go tomorrow. Then if I call again, that is now call over coaching. You push people away because they start avoiding you. They see your call, they're not picking up. So that's now call over coaching. And because if you don't have a system also, we have something that is called decision fatigue. Think of how many decisions you make in a day. What's for dinner? Who is doing this? Who is doing this? What am I doing for work? What am I wearing today? The more decisions we have, the poorer our decisions are. We want to reduce the decisions. That's why you find people who just wear like a black t-shirt. It removes the decision fatigue. Once you have that, it makes things very easy. So a system tells you what you need to do, when you need to do it, without thinking that, oh, should I go for a walk today or not? Or I'm just going to watch Netflix. If you know that the system says that I need to work on these days, I need to train on these days, and if I don't work on these days, I'm going to lose my streak and start. There's always, just like we know that if we don't pay tax, we're going to get in trouble. So we pay tax. There's a system for that. Does that make sense? Yeah. So system is like really, really important. What a system does to us, and I'll get into this further. From our end, what a system does to us, when people come to us, we know what their problem is, but people never know what their problem is. People come from a lack of, someone might say that my problem is just food or lack of exercise or inconsistency. But again, the problem is never the what, it's always the why. Like, or maybe you struggle to prioritize yourself. And why do you struggle to prioritize yourself? We can dig deeper and deeper into that. And we're going to role play into this a little bit. But because it doesn't matter if I know what your problem is and you don't know, I can't help you. The only way to coaching is different to teaching. Coaching is a teamwork. I see what your problem is and I give you something. Like, for example, if I know that you're scared of hook turns, then I get you to, let's drive to the city. Let's go to the city. And I get you to a point where the system is going to make you to do a hook turn. Then now we are aware. You knew that you're scared of the city, but you did not know why. When we're in the city, now you figure out why. Oh, I don't like traffic and I don't like hook turns. Now we know the problem. It's not only us who know the problem, but now you know the problem too. Then we come up with a strategy. So a system helps us reveal the real problem and make you aware. That's what a system. It's not just accountability. So from the front end, for example, what our members see is that streaks and things they need to do and all that. But there's a lot of thought and psychology behind it. Does that make sense? That's why we cannot achieve anything without a system. That's the biggest problem why people struggle. Trying to transform without a system is like building IKEA furniture without instruction. You got the pieces, but it ends up wobbly and collapse when life gets tough. What you actually need isn't motivation, willpower, or another plan. You need a system. And I need to also emphasize this, that we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. Goals are for people who want to win once. Systems are for people who want to keep on winning over and over and over. So we always need to remember that. So research shows that after things like Ozempic or weight loss surgery, people go into depression. Not because it doesn't work, but because it was successful. And here's the catch. Here's the interesting part. So think about our emotions as a pressure cooker. Everyone knows what a pressure cooker is? So this is our pressure cooker.
What happened if I shake this?
No,
What would happen?
Yeah. We're not going to open now. Yeah. So imagine we're shaking this, right? I'm not going to do it right now. We shake it, right? Then every time you're stressed, you use food to release the pressure a little bit. Does that make sense? You use food, you release the pressure a little bit. Then all of a sudden, a syringe or surgery comes and slams the lid open. The pressure cooker, you can't release the pressure anymore because you can't use food as much. So your coping mechanism has been taken away. So we have all this brewing in here. Can you see how much disaster that's going to cause? So let me just give you this analogy properly. So food and chaos are the release valve. Quick fixes slam it shut. The weight drops, but the pressure builds. That's why depression and suicide risk rise after surgery. Not because it fails, but because it succeeds. The pain is still there, trapped inside. So you've got two choices. Keep numbing keep numbing until pressure explodes. That can be with food, workaholic. Some people use porn. Some people use shopping. Everyone is different. Or build a stronger system that regulates emotions, rewires habits, and rebuilds identity. So This is another reason why system is important, because instead of slamming that, we give you a system. We give you another coping mechanism. Because the thing is that, for example, if we emotionally eat because work is stressful, then we're dealing with food. Work will always be stressful. For example, if you have a really, really stressful job and it's always stressful, sometimes you can't change that. But what we can change the way we manage stress and the way we regulate emotions. And we can have a system. So instead of, because you could go and get another job, but it's still stressful. You could go and get another job that is half the stress, but you still don't know how to handle stress. You still don't know. You still don't have the tools. You still don't have the system. So this brings us back to another reason why system is so important. Like, we are very passionate. Everything we do is systemized because you cannot survive without system. Remember when I said that we don't have whatever problems? We have fears, habits, mindset, fears, identity. I've always been like that. I'm just a nice person. I'm big bone. My family does this. You know what I mean? See, that's an identity problem. And do you know what identity is? Identity is a fear, because it's easy to use identity to justify our fears than to say that I'm scared, or I'm doing this because, to give the real reason, I'm doing this because I want people to like me.